Alright, today's tip is on how to do a push-up. It's a very popular exercise, but at the same time it's done incorrectly a lot as well. So let's start with the full push-up. Place your hands underneath your shoulders, about hip-wide distance. Personally, I like having my feet hip-wide distance as well, but find out what you're most comfortable with and go with that. Keep your core engaged, maintaining a nice flat back position. If you need to review the planks, feel free to go to our previous video on our YouTube channel at Dynamic Grit Fitness. The key in the push-up is to bend the elbows to lower yourself. Nothing in the back changes. The angle stays the same throughout the whole range, especially on the way up. Don't let the upper back lift up first, as this will put pressure on the low back. So find the range where you can maintain that flat back angle and repeat for about 10 through 15 repetitions depending on your fitness level. Look straight down when you're doing the push-up because you don't want to strain your neck. Alright, let's look at some ways to do it wrong. Hips being too low. As you can see here, the hips are lower than the upper back, which creates a lot of tension in the low back. This takes away from the core and all the stabilizers in the stomach. So correct it by elevating the hips and maintaining that flat back position in the spine. Next one here is where the hips are too high. Now this becomes more of a shoulder exercise. A lot of people are already tight in their neck, and this form of push-up will only make matters worse by tightening up the upper back. So simply lower your hips until the back is completely flat. Here's a pretty common one where the range is really short and way too fast. The muscles aren't under much tension in this range, which only hinders your progress to strengthen the chest and the triceps. Alright, next one, I call this the chicken bob, and I see a lot of people doing this, believe it or not. Maybe not as exaggerated as demonstrated by our trainer Mars here, but it is pretty common. So they focus so much on wanting to go lower, and in order to accomplish that, they have to drop their head. The elbows no longer bend as much, and the targeted muscles are being neglected. So really try to focus on paying attention to your form. Think of a push-up as just bending your elbows only while keeping that back flat. Alright, so if the full push-up is too much, then here's the modified version. You're going to be on your knees, hip-wide distance. So knowing where your hips are in space is key for this form of push-up because you can't really feel for it. So simply shift the weight forward so that the hands are directly underneath the shoulders. As you can see here, the hips are a lot more forward than the knees. So keep that in mind. You want to put weight on the hands when you do a push-up just to target the triceps and the chest. Same principle applies here. Maintain the same angle on your back as you go down and up. Only bending the elbows to lower yourself. The hips should not touch the ground first. If it did, then that means the hips dropped and you took away from the core. So make sure only bend the elbows. Let's look at some ways to do it wrong. Similar to the full push-up version, the one that's unique to the modified position is the going up part. When people go up in the push-up, they scoot back onto their hips, taking away pressure off their arms and chest, and it becomes more of a stretch, kind of like a child's pose. So make sure to keep constant tension by keeping the pressure forward. So once again, shift your weight forward by scooting the hips more onto the arms. Next one is shrugging, where the pressure is on the neck instead of a triceps and the chest. So relax that neck, and here's the chicken bob. Just don't do this, please. Alright, so there you have it. Push-ups. How to do it right, as well as how to do it wrong. Hope you learned a lot and provide us any feedback. We would love it. If you want more tips and advices on exercise or nutrition, follow us on YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook at Dynamic Grit Fitness. Have a super day.